So Netflix's live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender is just a few weeks away, and Avatar fans all over the world are patiently waiting to see if this will be another M. Night Shyamalan dumpster fire, or if Netflix is going to be able to work their live-action magic once again. I am a massive Avatar fan. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a huge part of my childhood, and I think I may be in the minority here, but I actually think that Netflix's live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender is going to be good. Hello everyone, I am Finn. Welcome back to FinFilms, a channel where we dissect all things nerd culture. To me, Avatar: The Last Airbender might be like one of the easiest shows ever to get right in a live action adaptation. Why, you ask? Well, simple, really. You see, the source material, aka the story of the animated show Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's so goddamn good, from its overall story narrative to its diverse cast of characters who throughout our story go through some really awesome character progression. To me, the best way to make a live action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender is to change as little as possible. So that's why in today's video, I'm going to be dissecting every single frame of Netflix's live action Avatar: The Last Airbender's trailers, so I can show you just how detailed Netflix is going to be with their version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I talked about this in my other Avatar video, but everything so far that I've seen from the Avatar: The Last Airbender trailers seem to indicate to me that Netflix is going to be hitting every single story bit from season 1 of the animated show Avatar: The Last Airbender in its 8-episode series of the live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Our trailer opens in a shot of icy water with at least 6 or 7 Fire Nation ships. Now, to me, this is really only 1 or 2 scenes. It's either one of the opening scenes where we see Zuko hunting for Aang, or possibly it is one of the scenes from our climax, from the Siege of the Northern Water Tribe, which is the finale of the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and which will most likely be the finale of the live-action season as well. The next scene we see is a Fire Nation attack on the Air Nomad Temple. This is a flashback from the start of the 100-Year War. Here, Sozin and his Fire Nation would use the power of the comet to attack the Airbender temples, wiping out all of them in the hopes of wiping out the Avatar line completely, though we know obviously he failed. This is followed up with another scene depicting Fire Nation soldiers attacking Air Nomad monks. Again, this is a flashback scene from when Sozin and his army invaded and the Air Nomad temples, wiping them completely out. Next, we get a scene of a super badass firebender. This is very likely Fire Lord Sozin, even though I don't know for sure if Fire Lord Sozin actually participated in the attacks on the Air Nomad Temple, but I think that this is supposed to be Fire Lord Sozin. In this very quick scene, we see him fighting what I believe is another airbender. This is very possible the death scene for Aang's teacher, Gyatso, though I am not completely sure. This may not even be Fire Lord Sozin, but I have a feeling that this is Fire Lord Sozin. Next, we get probably one of the most iconic scenes in all of Avatar, the opening scene where Katara and Sokka eventually find Aang frozen in ice. Everyone knows this scene. It's in the opening credits of Avatar. It's probably the most iconic scene in all of Avatar: The Last Airbender. In the next scene, we get our first look at the Fire Nation capital, as well as the big bad evil guy of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Fire Lord Ozai, aka Zuko and Azula's dad. Speaking of Azula, we get a shot of her in the next scene. I'm very curious to see if the actress for Azula is going to be able to put out the same, well, absolutely absurd, crazy energy that Azula has from the animated series. After that, we get a quick scene of Aang, Katara, and Sokka, and suddenly an explosion in a village behind them. This is very possibly the raid by the Fire Nation on Kyoshi Island, though it could be any number of scenes where the Fire Nation attacks a village that Aang and Katara are in, are Season 1, as there is at least like 3 of them I can think of off the top of my head. Next, we get a scene that happens early on in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, where Aang and the gang return to Aang's home, the Southern Air Temple, where Aang learns of what happened almost 100 years ago to all of his air nomad brethren that were wiped out by the Fire Nation. After that, we get a scene of Aang and the gang riding on Appa. Beneath them is a large island, and I'm like 99% sure that this is their journey to Kyoshi Island. After that, we get another classic scene of Aang goofing around on his little air ball, something that he does a lot in Season 1 of Avatar, as in Season 1 of Avatar, Aang is much more goofy than how he is later on in the seasons. This is either from Kyoshi Island, or it's possible it is the village that the gang venture into in the Winter Solstice episodes. I'm actually leaning that it's possibly the Winter Solstice village, mainly because of this statue here in the back that looks like a panda. Next, we get a scene of Iroh and Zuko. Iroh using his firebending. This is very likely a scene from when Iroh and Zuko are on the run together in the Earth Kingdom. After that, we get a flashback to the moment where Zuko had his face burned when he had his Agni Kai duel between himself and his father, the Fire Lord. This is a super iconic, important scene in Avatar: The Last Airbender, specifically in Zuko's story, so it's awesome that they put this in the trailer. Next, we get a scene of the bounty hunter June and her freaky mount that she rides. I can't remember what this creature is called, but it is really good at smelling, and this is the scene, I believe, where Zuko and Iroh eventually hire June to help them hunt down Aang. Sorry guys, I have to interrupt this video real quick to do the YouTuber thing. Did you know that the easiest way that you can help support me and support this channel is by subscribing? Subscribing to the channel is the easiest way to support me, and it's basically through subscriptions and views that I'm only able to make these videos for you all. So if you want to continue to see the content, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Okay guys, enough yapping from me. Let's get right back to the video. After that, we have a scene of a classic entity from Avatar, especially the first season, the High Bay, which is a spirit that is introduced in the Winter Solstice episodes. Next, we have a quick series of battle scenes. This is very obviously the attack on the island of Kyoshi. We know that because we literally see Kyoshi warriors running around in this scene. After that, we have a really epic scene of the Earth Kingdom city of Omashu. I really look forward to this episode. Omashu is one of the coolest aesthetically designed places in the Avatar world. As well, that episode is one of my favorite episodes in all of Avatar, especially in the first season, so I look really forward to the Omashu episode. Next, we have a scene where Aang is doing battle in a Fire Nation fortress. This is from the episode Blue Spirit, where the character Blue Spirit is introduced, which we see here in the following scenes. Obviously, I assume if you're watching this video, you know who this Blue Spirit is, but you know, for fun, I won't spoil it for you. Next, we have another scene of Aang kicking some Fire Nation butt using his airbending. This is obviously in the Water Nation somewhere because it's freezing cold. This is very likely a scene from the Siege of the Northern Water Tribe, again, which would be the climax of the season, though I'm not sure. It could be any number of scenes where Aang fights Fire Nation in the Water Nation. Next, we have a quick, super hype scene of Aang's battle with Bumi from the Umashu episodes. Again, I'm super looking forward to the Umashu episode in the Netflix live action. This is one of my favorite episodes in all of Avatar, and I can't wait to see it in live action form. After that, we have a badass scene from Katara doing some sick water bending. I think she even converts water to ice in this scene. This scene is from her duel with Zuko, which also happens in the climax of Season 1 at the Siege of the Northern Water Tribe. We have another action scene. We were introduced to an iconic side character from Season 1, Jet, from the episode aptly titled Jet. Jet is a teenager who leads a rebellion against the Fire Nation in the Earth Kingdom, I believe. Finally, this trailer ends off with a super hype scene of Aang going into the Avatar state. I'm pretty sure that this is also from the Journey to the Airbending Temple episode, where Aang discovers what happened to all his air nomad companions, and in his grief and his emotional instability, he enters into the Avatar state. Either that or it's from the finale, though I'm pretty sure that this is from this scene specifically. It is from the Airbending Temple scene. As well, there's another shorter trailer, but there's only a couple of new scenes that we see in this trailer, specifically the first scene where we see a flashback of Sozin's Comet. As well, we see another scene of the assault on the Air Temple. Even more Kyoshi Island scenes. This time we get a look at Kyoshi warriors in their full makeup, which is really cool. As well as a really cool scene that happens early on in Season 1 where Aang journeys to a firebending temple where ultimately he communicates with Roku and gets informed of Sozin's Comet and just all of the shenanigans that the Fire Nation is up to. And yes, this is basically like every single scene from Netflix's live action Avatar: The Last Airbender trailers so far. And as you can see from this video, all of these scenes are basically taken almost directly from the Avatar: The Last Airbender animated series. This right here is really one of the main reasons why I'm actually super excited, and albeit tentatively hyped for Netflix's live action of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because everything that I've seen from these trailers seems to indicate that Netflix wants the Avatar fan base to know that they are going to be loyal to this story. Now, obviously, because this is a live action, necessarily some things are going to be cut from the story. Netflix's live action is going to have a total of 8 episodes. Each episode's around an hour long for a total of around 8 hours of content. So necessarily they're probably going to have to either cut some story beats short or just cut out maybe some smaller scenes from the story. But to me, it really does seem like Netflix is going all out on trying to fit every single important story beat and plot detail from season 1 of the animated show into this season of the live action. If I had to guess, probably one episode of the live action is going to incorporate maybe like 1 or 2 or possibly even 3 episodes of the animated series story into it. From everything I've seen from the trailer, it really seems like Netflix is trying to be as loyal to this original story of Avatar as possible, which really makes sense because, like I said, the story of Avatar is so freaking good, man. Like, you don't need to change it. The best thing that you can do is be as loyal to this original story as possible, something that live actions historically have struggled with. I mean, while there are good live actions out there, the amount of live action adaptations, whether it from anime or video games, that absolutely butcher the story of the original story of the source material is insane. The most recent example that I've used pretty repeatedly is Netflix's butchering of their live action adaptation of Yu Yu Hakusho. While the first episode of this live action is really good, ultimately they end up butchering the story by basically combining like weird elements of season 1 and season 2 and skipping the best arc of Yu Yu Hakusho, the Dark Tournament arc. However, it seems like Netflix has learned from their mistakes, and it seems like they're going to be pretty loyal to the Avatar story in general, something that they probably know they need to do because the Avatar fan base will absolutely rip them a new one if they butcher this beloved series. The Avatar community is still suffering from its trauma from M. Night Shyamalan's horrible butchering of the Avatar movie. A live action so bad it got 5% on Rotten Tomatoes and is up there with the Dragon Ball Z live action and the Death Note live action as some of the worst live action adaptations I've ever seen in my life. Again, I am excited and, dare I even say it, hyped for Netflix's live action adaptation. Obviously, at the end of the day, it could end up being bad. There's no way to know with just the trailers, though from what I've seen so far, I think at the very least it will be a suitable adaptation of the story of the animated series into the live action, and at best, it's going to be really freaking good. But I guess we're just going to have to wait until February 22nd to find out. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Your engagement by liking the video or subscribing is the best way to help the channel out, and I really appreciate it, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Avatar: The Last Airbender, or do you think Netflix is going to butcher it? As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Drink your water, hug your mother. Until next time, peace, love, Adu.